Good evening, everybody. Hopefully, everybody can hear me okay. It hasn't been too bad today. We got back early. I didn't do much work-wise. We had to deal with a pet of ours, so that's taken up my day. I got a bunch of notes I wrote down, which I'll holler out to. New stuff coming up, new videos. I'm both on Patreon as well. I got a bunch for Patreon. Now, I haven't had as much time to edit videos, but we shot a whole bunch of material, including some thrift store, some antique mall, and I mean a big antique mall too. There's a bunch of haul videos that I got, so you'll get to see some paper pickups, some collectibles in general. I think I got some toys and things like that too. Thrift store, I'll probably wait to the end. I haven't even had a chance to edit it. It's like 4 hours of video. We went to a whole bunch of them. We spent one day out with my youngest while we were out doing some other stuff. So, going to be some haul videos coming out here. I'll call out some folks in just a few moments. I chatted with a few folks before I clicked the live button. But we'll holler out those. We'll holler out what's going on. I just posted, like an hour or two ago, a new Patreon video. And it's going to show scanning slides and all of that kind of stuff. I did leave a comment in that video too that if you need any more in-depth on it, I don't know how in-depth everybody is on some of the topics that I sell in, because we make money on all kinds of stuff, and that video covers glass plate slide scanning, and then like 120 millimeter small wide format negatives in general, and then transparencies, the 35, and then the large ones too. I go into depth on the scanners a little bit in there, and a little info on those. Carlene, if you're out there, I got your message. I just haven't a chance to respond to that as well. I've got a store review going for her, so that'll be the next one posted there. Tomorrow there'll be a bolo right up here on YouTube, and it's going to be something I would say quite different and quite unique. Something that there's a lot of money into, something I'm always surprised on that one category that stuff still goes like that, but we'll show you that tomorrow. It's already shot. Again, I got a whole bunch of videos that were shot just because of all the other aspects. We did stuff while we were out, and I just haven't edited it. I've probably got, hate to say it, but maybe like 15 plus hours of video that's just in the can sitting here, so to speak. That we haven't been able to get to. With my schedule, my employees' schedule's kind of screwy, and I haven't had as much chance to set stuff up for everybody. So I kind of steered employee-wise to taking care of the stores because we were away. So it kind of drastically changes my workflow, I guess, some days. Just been one of those last couple weeks. So. But everything's going on track, and we're back fighting the good fight. So. There was something else I was just going to shout out to too. I ran into David in one of the thrift stores. So David, if you're out there, good evening. I wished I would have shot you and thrown you in the video. Wife said something about that after we left. So just FYI. Sorry, David. Totally messed up on that one. I got a call out to two other subs, Patreons as well. We're going to be, hopefully, if I hear back from them, I don't know how busy or what their schedule is, but I'm going to do a haul video with a couple of subscribers who I've met and ran into a couple of times already. And we're just going to kind of point out and stuff like that, too. So that'll be coming up. And I'm 100% going to have a local meetup here. Where it'll be like a 3-hour or 4-hour, I don't know length or anything like that yet. Maybe dinner or something if somebody's interested afterwards. I don't know yet. We're still kind of running over that. I'm trying to get room reserved now. Nothing fancy or anything like that. It'll be in a public place just for everybody's safety as well. And it's going to be in the Toledo area. So for those who may be interested in a meetup, I don't know what sort of crowd to expect, but I'll have a sign-up sheet just so we can kind of get an idea. And what I was looking probably to do, I'll probably have video there and stuff. So if you're interested in being in something, that's fine. If not, you don't have to be, obviously. But we'll probably do some demonstrations. If you have anybody who does come to something like that and you want something done or looked at your store, first come, first serve, and bring your laptop. That would be my best guess. Maybe I'll bring a laptop or two. I don't know yet what I want to do. I don't like to bring out stuff with personal information out in public like that. Personally, that's just me. I know I'm maybe more paranoid than most people on that, but hacking wise, stuff happens all the time. We had somebody bomb our house the other day with random calls, the landline here, but it's easily fixed, and it pretty much died down after I hit a few buttons. So anyway, let's see here. We'll get to some names in just a second here. Let me just call out. Let's see, what did I got? Repair video. That's the one that I was going to forget on. Patreon repair video. It's there's a tobacco item in there. There's some leather in there, and there's a nice reconstruction on some poster style paper. The video's already, again, it's shot. I hate to say that, but it just hasn't been edited. I think I've got like 5 Patreon videos worth of content in that massive hours there that's already done. So I know there's one that's enough to be 3-part because it took me like 2 hours just to record that one segment. So again, that's just content that's coming out. I know I've got the polls that I had. I had some shirt designs that have been long done. They've been approved. I just haven't had a chance to post them down in the bottom. So I'm trying to play catch up this weekend. We did, if everybody else is unaware, eBay's pulled totally now at this point. All the sales reports, Sales Reports Plus is what I used for years since it came out. And just one day, it's just gone now. Can't get it, can't use it. I don't know what eBay's thinking. I almost felt like doing a video on it, but I just haven't a chance and didn't want to, just post it up. But why they would get rid of the best reporting tool that I've seen on eBay and not replace it is just insane. I mean, that's my biggest grief, because if I got a ton of contacts and emails and messages and all kinds of stuff, and it's all related to how do I find this, how do I find that in taxes. In the real world, you would be required to, if you were working for some big company, to supply that information. It would be a given. You'd have to give them that information. I mean, it makes no sense at all why everything is so hard on there. And eBay's paying the taxes, but yet you got to go to PayPal to find them. There's a kickback going in there somewhere. I can't see any other way. And from what I understand too, and I looked into this, I even asked an accountant and a lawyer on this too. They're required to give you, if somebody's collected fees on something, they're required to give you a statement on it. Since PayPal is giving you a fee, but on eBay's behalf, there's some question on who would be required to do that. But they should be able to give you, I think legally wise, a statement that tells you where every dime that they collected on your behalf in your name went to. I think that's a law. I could be wrong, but I from the conversations I've had and the folks that I've talked to, professionals, that sounds like there might be an issue with that because they can't produce anything. And even the reporting plus, the reporting button on Hub, if you click on it, and try to pick up months that are less than or more than 90 days, you won't find all the content there. If I go to August right now, it has 7 days worth of sales on there. They're consecutive days, but other than that, they're gone. Another month, if I go to look at it, and I got the information, so I'm not really worried about it, but for other people, and, I thought, how could that be when I'm getting all these comments from viewers and subscribers? Hey, the information's wrong. How do I fix this? How do I get that? There's a long about way to get all that information. And I know there's videos on many other channels from what I was told. But one thing everybody doesn't realize is you can't balance or report sales from the inventory list on eBay and be 100% correct, because on PayPal you get chargebacks and there's some discrepancies. If you just download the 1099 or the K1099 from PayPal without the reconcile sheet with it, you're going to be off on your taxes. You're going to possibly be giving and paying taxes more than you should be because there's a reconciliation. If you've worked in corporate America, which I've done it, unfortunately, I hate corporate America these days, at least that aspect of it. You got to reconcile everything. So at the end of the year, when I pull up these reports, sometimes there's $400 or $500 in money that's back and forth because of issue this, issue that, chargebacks, or whatever the case may be. And you got to balance that against your P&L statement, and that's how you get a straight figure. The eBay list where everybody's saying, just go to your items, your sold column in the hub, and then pulling that down. Well, if you've canceled something, it's going to, let's say you've refunded it or it didn't get mailed out, or you opened up a case and you didn't archive or remove that from there, that's still in there too. So those shouldn't count towards sales either. So the bottom end is when the end of the year, and I'm bringing this up because, again, I've had a lot of conversations about this. What really matters at the end of the year is your sheet from PayPal. How much money was reported. If all your money's coming through PayPal at this point, you didn't go to manage payments or anything else, that sheet is what's reported to the government. That's the sheet you're going to have to lay all your credits basically against. Remove the taxes from that sheet, remove, shipping and all that other kind of stuff. You got to account for it, obviously. You break it down in a P&L statement, and bottom line is your net before taxes, and that's what your reporting numbers are. So anyway, it's the worst, most insane thing I've ever seen for a company to ditch forms that everybody has used to balance one site, your sales versus your income, your revenue. PayPal's the revenue from that. It just drives me insane. I can't believe all the comments I've read on Reddit boards and even on eBay's own board that they totally don't seem to care about providing this information. Now, I know you can get, tax stuff from PayPal. It's easy if you know Excel, I guess I should say, because most of the people I've been talking to, how do I get this, how do I get that, haven't a clue on a CSV file or anything. No disrespect or offense to anybody. There's no need to know it these days to some extent. Old schoolers like me know it, I guess you could say, because we used it in corporate America before there were programs to keep inventory. The reason I know Excel in all the word products is because inventory programs, even back in the 90s like that, weren't like they are now, so you used Excel and those numbers imported into somewhere else. That's how I did it for restaurants that made $11 million a year. So it's bigwig companies used Excel just for that reason. Our whole inventory was done in Excel, and it all had formulas and, anyway, long story short, don't want to go there, but the point is eBay killed all these forms. There's no easy way to get everything you need. You got to go to PayPal. You got to pull up the as I said, the K1099. You got to pull up the reconcile page, 100% off of there. And then you're going to have to fight with on eBay as well. And to sort it by state, geez, you're going to have to, like me, it's impossible. I'd spend hours and hours trying to sort it by state. I mean, we keep up on it. So if you waited to the end, and you sell like we do, a lot of stuff, it's a huge amount of data to have to look through. Even if you're sorting columns in Excel down by alphabet and sorting just the states, because it's going to recategorize, all the rows and columns to match whatever alphabet column you need. But anyway, long story. Let's get off that rant for a second there. It's just the worst thing I've seen them do for those of you who are new and just need a quick number. You can't get a quick number anymore. Not like you could before. They've made it much more difficult for everybody. Let's see here. Let me pop back up here. Looks like my feed's actually working okay. I already talked to you, Hustle and Grind. Hope you are doing very well. Again, I will be in Canada. We are going to have a meetup here. I am literally trying to source the place right this week. We were out when I was taking care of some other business. So it's coming up, and it'll probably be within like 30 to 40 days, I'm estimating. Yeah, no, we were talking about the thumbs down. People just come just because they are trolls or other channels that don't like what I say or what I give out, I guess. I don't know. It doesn't bother me at all. YouTube's going to stop that ability. They'll have to watch so much of it just to leave a thumbs down. Let's see here. Cornelius, yeah. Murray, yeah, I just shot you back on that one too. Yeah, slides. Slides I've been talking about in the last video. We've sold slides. If you saw my 35mm slide video just from a few days ago, we've sold slides for $600 plus for one single slide. And in that lot, we had that purchase lot. We had like maybe 6 or 7 slides that went for that amount, and I paid like $10 for all those slides. So what was that like? $3,000 I think we got out of that $10 purchase in slides, because no one. And they were there. This is like the last day of a sale I got those ones at. And no one paid any attention to them at all. I mean, in fact, I think I got them. I offered them some really awfully low price, but it was like the last day, and it was earlier in the morning, but there was nobody there. There was a sale that was going on that same day. That was their first day, so everybody flocked over there. I made out. I didn't worry about the first one. I actually got to look at the other estate sale before it was opened, and I priced some records for them. and so I knew there wasn't anything there. So that helps to get friendly with some of the estate sale companies in my book. I wouldn't do anything wrong. I offer a service to price records, and I couldn't buy anything. They wouldn't let me buy anything, but they did set some records aside, and I did get some records out of the deal. But that's about the gist on it. I wanted to see what was there. It saves me some time. If you go to estate sales, sometimes you'll see that there's 2, 3, even 4 sometimes on the same day. Especially in the same part of town sometimes. It just depends on, where you live, I guess you could say. But we have a lot sometimes on the same day, and it really helps to be able to take a peek ahead of time to know which ones to go to, because if you're not the first one in the door on some of them, the stuff you want may not be there, an hour after they opened. It may all be gone. And I've ran to those sales before. And it does help, too, to know who goes and looks at other sales and what other sales or companies that run these estate sales sell stuff before the sale, because more than half, I would say, probably do. You're not going to know that. They're not going to tell you that. And they always have friend deals and all that kind of stuff, too. Like if you go to a flea market, they set up ahead of time, like the ones that are in like fairgrounds and malls and all that kind of stuff. They let them set up ahead of time, and the dealers will walk around and buy and sell before anybody else can come in there. I used to set up sometimes, and that would be the first thing I would do is go out and buy from other tables. And sometimes I could buy from another table and put it at my table before I opened up and sell it for, 3, 4 times what I just bought it for someone else's table, 2 or 3 aisles over. People do that all the time. I mean, that's quick money. Let's pop back over here, see who else is here. Lee Smith, how are you doing? Good evening as well. And I did see Carl is in here. How is Carl doing in sunny Florida? Wubba lubba dub dub, how are you doing too? I don't know about rock show, more like astronomy show tonight. Love the night sky here. We have snow, just a light breeze of snow coming down, so it's pretty nice looking outside. It's got that glow. Jason Blake, good evening. Heather Hines, how are you doing? Life with a toddler. I remember those days very fondly. Me and the wife, Marky, were just talking about that. Fond memories of the days when then we had the little kids around. We were in Virginia. I was working in Alexandria, Virginia at that time, and we only had one. Did we have one? Yeah, we just had one child, I think, and we were out, and it was getting cold out, and he was playing leaves, our oldest at the time, and the wife and I had his jacket with us, and the wife was trying to put it on, and he was just one of those kids, and he started screaming for dear life, help me, while the wife's trying to put his coat on, and people were looking, and we're like, no, it's our son, it's cold, we're just trying to put his jacket on. It was one of those experiences. I remember toddler days, and he had something in his hand. He didn't want to sit down to put the coat on, and anyway, fond memories. We have 2 kids, if you don't know. Let's see here. Yeah, and thank you, too, for the kind words, Heather. Eddie, how are you doing there? Marjorie Hullman, the stuffologist, loud and clear, thank you. And as I said, I thought I saw Carl. There is Carl. Hudson Resale, good evening. Michael, North Carolina. I have been through North Carolina. I have a cousin in, I believe it's Greenville, if I'm not mistaken. We've got one in another place in South Carolina somewhere. When we used to go up that way, we used to stop at south of the border. I'm sure somebody out there is going to know exactly what I'm talking about, but we'd go up A1A sometimes and take the scenic route, just me and the wife before we had kids and stuff. And fun times, too. Driving up from Flagler Beach, Daytona area. Leesburg, Virginia. I have been there. The wife has a cousin that lives there. We spent the night in Leesburg 15 years ago. I've been in Leesburg a few times, Eddie. Let's see here. John Valentine, New Jersey. I have been to New Jersey as well. I worked in the Alexandria area and my region. I did some work for another region, and I got to go up to New York right after 9/11, unfortunately. Bad timing, but we went through New Jersey and the whole works. And we made our way to Boston and then came back down from there. I worked in Boston for like 2 months. Let's see here. Life Our Way, good evening. Yeah, I took astronomy in college years back, and I've always loved the stars and planets. So I was trying to find a moon, but couldn't find a moon out. I made it to the boardroom. Google is working on a new product to tie everything together. Could be a game changer if they figure it out. That is very true. I actually have a phone appointment to. I guess they're going to show it to people because they reached out to us with dates and times to a select group, from what I understand. So I may get to see that. From what I understand, I'm not allowed to say any details other than that, but there is something going on with what they took off not too long ago. So anyway, there is going to be some changes with it, from what I understand, and there is part of it's already out there working too, Aaron. If you haven't seen, what's the name of it? It's like a corporate version of a chat. Shoot, and I got to use that the other day too. I can't remember the name of that. For the life of me, I can't remember the name of that. eBay's been reaching out to people too for personal interviews on stuff too. I've talked to them via email on something too with that. So people are in the works of doing some stuff. If you haven't, if you're not out there, there's programs that eBay offers, and I'm a member of one of the programs. I'm also a member of one of the programs here on YouTube. I don't get any bonuses from it or anything that I'm aware of, other than testing or getting to see some stuff before it's out there for everybody else. And they didn't reach out to me. You could have applied for this years ago. I don't know if they even take people these days. I don't know. Haven't a clue. I've just done it quite often. It usually gives you a heads up on what's going on. It's just something to help, just my opinion. It takes a little bit of time sometimes. I know one of the phone conversations I had once in the past was like 40 minutes. And they asked some really interesting questions, and they gave some good comments, so it was interesting. I like knowing stuff. Knowledge is power. I'll agree with that 100%. Yeah, Aaron, you are right on that, though. There's Carolina Picks. How are you doing? I was on Facebook, and I know you got a couple records on there. I will hit those up tomorrow for sure. I'm going to be on Patreon from 4 to 5 tomorrow evening. If anybody has direct questions on Patreon, my Patreon members, I'll be able to get you right back via email on Patreon. So, and I'm testing a live shot on Patreon, too, for this weekend. On Sunday. I will have a time ahead of time, hopefully. We're going to do a test run where no one will be able to see it as unlisted, and then if that goes okay after I play it back, I'll decide on a time from there. I've gotten really mixed results. I've done a couple tests before, but we've got a little more equipment. I invested a little more money in something else, and I'm hoping that might alleviate the problem. So anyway. Theo T, I watch you on my 60-inch TV, and I have to say you are a legend. Care about this community and have pride in what you do. Thumbs up. Well, thank you very kindly. 60-inch, not bad at all. One of our biggest family, and this is family investment for the family, is a 10-foot roll-down movie screen and a projector. I was never in a spot where we could have that. Now we've got a huge area where we do that, and we get together. It's a family event. My kids, one has four classes left, and he graduates from chemical engineering at the university, and my other one will be graduating high school, and we still just all plop on the sofa and hang out and stuff and have fun. So, the movie theater atmosphere is great. I'm just personal thing. I love a big screen with the family. Kind of like a bring together, let's have fun, watch a comedy or something. I'm all about tight-knit family things. So, yeah, and I had somebody else say the other day, I've got another question video, answers to your questions, coming out. One of my employees picked like 40 different questions, and we're just siphoning through 6 at a shot right down. So that video is already shot and picked. I get a lot of stuff like that. I put up a lot of videos, and people say, well, you put up too many videos or something. But if I do a video, it's got good content. I don't think I've ever put up a video just to put a video up there. It doesn't make sense to me because my name's on it. So some of my first few videos, like the first couple dozen I put up, I'd really like to delete those, but it's there, it's going to stay. But I like to put effort into everything I do. Again, I'm not trying to brag. Everybody's going to say that. I hear that sometimes quite often, but I like to put up good content, and I've tried to improve the video quality and all that kind of stuff here too. I've been working on some other things to mix into there. I'm going to have some, and one of these is shot. The wife's video for the Weebles is shot, all of it. So it's just a matter of finishing it up. It's going to be a 3-parter as of right now. We've split them all up into parts and all that. And until they're all done, I'm not going to do it because it'll be like one every 3 days, I think, is what we figured out on. It's really well done. I mean, I spent some time on that video. If you saw the The business plan breakdown, that's probably took me some of the longest time in a little while on a video. It's a lot of work to put in all those, the titles and the words, and I actually have a new program for editing as well, so I can put PNGs in there, like the shirt. If you saw the video, those are PNGs, which you couldn't do in some of the other programs I've used. So I've stepped up as well in the editing program. So you're going to see some other stuff in here too. Other channel, I've got, I think, as I said, several videos shot. Some more pop-ups. There's going to be a Star Wars. There's some more comic book related stuff coming up on there because I love sci-fi and fantasy. So if you're comic book nerd, geek, sci-fi nerd, geek, there's going to be some stuff coming up along that line. The Mandalorian, I've got something already shot that I did for that too, pop-up wise too. Anybody out there seen Picard? I'd love to know somebody's, somebody who I chatted with here's personal opinion on Picard too. I've been watching all the reviews and it's been getting dogged on some channels, and then all the previews I see look pretty good, so I'm hesitant. I might just wait till the last day, it's the last show, and then just sign up for 1 month worth of all access CBS just to get that. I grew up on Star Trek, so anybody who grew up on Star Trek, you want to at least see what they're doing with it. I'm one of the few people who like the 2009 reboot. I loved the guys who did all the characters. They fit so well. I still can't believe people dog on that, but they like the new, I don't even know the name of the new series with the girl from The Walking Dead. I can't think of the name of it. That's how, I haven't even seen a single episode of it. It's not my thing. Let's pop down and get some more. Bob, how are you doing, Bob? I did comment to your question the other day, Bob. Don't take no offense. It's just on the Longtail, the business plan 2.1 here. Let me just shout out this for a second here on the business plan. No call outs to anybody. It's not meaning that way. Because I had some responses. I had somebody email me. It started off looking like they were being nasty, but I talked and I answered them actually in the email. And anyway, long story short, business models you use, a combination of those is just fine. The examples that I show in that video are talking about like one specific item. I'm not saying to do every single item as a long tail versus every single item as a quick flip. I take every single item I get as if it's going to be a long flip. Can I afford to buy that item? And I only say that because there's no guarantee something's going to sell. You can be reasonably sure some items that are just so hot and so scarce are going to sell, but as time goes by, fewer and fewer of those show up. So I judge it by the worst basis. Is it going to take me a long time to sell it? And I just say yes for every item. I know obviously that's not going to be the case. So I just want to know if I'm covered by buying something that I'm not going to get the money back from. In all those examples I show you, I don't need to get the money back out of the items at all. That's not my place in my business lifespan, as you would say. Day one is when my business was born, and in day one, I couldn't do anything. We had no money at all. We went through our entire bank account and we invested everything we could. We were eating ramen noodles and all that kind of stuff. Now at this progression in my business, I don't need to worry about the money. We shell out a lot of money. I sell so much stuff, and we've got the revenue from multiple streams that it doesn't matter to me. It doesn't matter. Like things that I've showed you in the videos, like those maps that I showed you, I haven't even sold one of those. I don't need to. I'm not even sure. One of them's been framed for the wife. The wife's keeping the Mississippi one. If you haven't watched me, you don't know, I've got a haul video. You can just pop back to it. If you type in haul in my playlist, the haul playlist, you'll see it in there because it's in that title on that one for sure. But I don't rush to sell everything. I search out places. Like one of the maps, I sent photos to somebody else, and stuff like that. That's the kind of thing that I'll do on things. I got a bulletin board, or we use bullet points, and I'll write down notes on what I need to do this day, that day, here, there, and then I can come back and check out, did I call back to verify this? Did I call back to verify that? That's what I do with everything. I don't rush to sell anything anymore these days. Not at all. I'm never worried about flipping anything quick. And again, I'm not trying to brag. That's just where my business is at this time. 10 years into it. 10 years, and I'm free of worry for that. But I had 3 years where most average people would have given up and taken a job. I'm being honest. I'm not tougher than anybody else. There wasn't that job out there for me to take at that time. It wasn't a good time. economy and the bubble burst and all that stuff, there wasn't anything sitting around for us. So without moving, and I couldn't move with my mom, and so anyway, that's just the basis on this. So, take that into thought when you're doing this. It just depends on where you're at in your business. I would always rather take $1,000 return on a $500 purchase as opposed to a $300 quick flip on a $500 purchase. Just personal opinion and where I'm at in my business. No disrespect to anybody, because I thought that was never possible for years of doing this. For the first 3 years, I thought, there's no way, I can't do that. We need the money. Flip it, flip it, flip it, flip it, flip it. Flip it, buy something else, flip it, buy something else, and flip it. That was my life. That was my life for 3 straight years. Everything we got in had to go right out. So if it meant I bought 35, 40 things when we were outsourcing, that same day they had to go up online. And if that meant I got 3 hours of sleep, that's what I did, because that's what we had to do to pay the bills. Kids, you got to take care of the family, you got to pay car note, you got to, whatever you're doing, you got to pay the bills. So we did that. I lived through that for 3 years, and I'm very thankful and grateful for what's happened to us for instances like that. It was a rough life, and I'm not going to mince words on that. It was awful to some extent. Awful for what you didn't have and what you got to go without for a long time. So, you got to be able to weather that possibly a few years to get to some point. I'm just telling you, not everybody, that's how it took me. I wasn't able to just flip it and go and I'm making a ton of money, because you cut off a business, your payroll coming in from a company every week. There's no guarantee anything's selling or not selling. That's why I say I always look at everything from the point that I'm not going to sell it for a long time, because there's no guarantees. Obviously there's a few things we're going to sell, but, some things I always try to hold out for the higher dollar stuff. Yeah, no disrespect to anybody else, no criticism for anybody. Everybody has the lifespan of their business, and everybody's in a different spot. That's why it's sometimes hard to know what to address either on a Patreon video or on a YouTube video, because everybody's at a different level of understanding or business experience or anything, and it's hard to make a generalized video for every single person out there that's interested in knowing something. So anyway, let's go back to the chat here, because I know I'm terrible sometimes. Let's see here. Tiffany, how are you doing? Deadwood, South Dakota. I have only driven through South Dakota. I have never, ever stopped, I think, in the entire state. I've flown over it, probably, I would imagine. Thank you, Murray, too. Don, looking forward to the video about slides. I have about 100 I need to list. It's up right now, Carolina Picks. I won't call out your real name just because that's not on here. I did sell one from Japan for over 100. It was from the 50s. Japan slides, if watch the video, you'll see a few more slides from Japan. I think I show you guys in that video, like fish markets and all kinds of weird things like that. I just picked some more slides. There's 180 slides roughly in that last purchase for $40 on the slides that I got that are just Japan. And then I think we counted 47 Korea slides. They're mostly around the main base in Busan. All of that stuff is good as gold. Now, if you look on comps on Terapeak right now and just type in Korea and 35 millimeter slide, and you'll see exactly what some of those go for. And like Carolina Picks is telling you here on slides, just type in Japan. I would say they were red border Kodachrome if they were 50s. Now, just because they may not be Kodachrome, if they're early enough slides, they still sell. I have no problem selling early slides. I ran into a bunch, and maybe I'll do them in a video, of military ID slides from I think it's 42 or 43. And each slide has the U.S. government mark and the date, 42 or 43. I can't remember which. I want to say maybe it's 43. I think it was a little later than I originally expected them to be. Yeah, I know I ramble for those who are new. I'm going to try and get to some more questions here. Yep, there goes the dislikes already. Thumbs down for talking. Let's see here. Yeah, I know you're a little far away, Carolina Picks there. Mogo, how are you doing? One of those photo slide scanners for my PC. Be careful on what you order on that, on the photo scanners. And I only say that I don't have them here. I've got like I think we've got like literally right now, or have had like 9 different types of scanners in this building. I've got 2 of the DS510s. That's one thing I did buy. I bought a second one because it was dirt cheap, and it's a backup. I do that sometimes, and it's an investment because for me, I use the DS510. God, those duplex scanners, mine's a workhorse. I beat the heck out of that thing. Not like beat it, but I use it so much. I got to clean it constantly and everything else like that. But I've got the slide-in old slide-style slide-in scanners for slides. And I also have, I show you the flatbed, the Epson in there. That flatbed's really nice. I've had that one for 2 years, for those of you who've seen the video already. Invest in a better one. Don't buy one of those cheap, less than $100 slide viewers, because it cuts off the edges and it's just not clear. Kodak's got a nice one, but for the price of the Kodak, it only does slides. I would buy the Epson flatbed that I show you. And those all the scanners and everything that I use is on my Amazon Auction Professor page, which there's a link down there. It has all the stuff I use. I don't think there's anything in that I haven't personally used or have right this very second. I don't put anything out there just to get you to buy something. If I use it, it's on that list. Again, because I get those questions a lot, and I see reports. I know people like the stuff that I buy, and I've even seen where people have left the feedback and all that stuff too. So anyway, where are we at now? Let's see here. eBay doesn't follow laws that haven't been written yet. This one is a little different, Aaron, because I'm almost, it has no bearing on whether it's tax or not. If you charge or collect a service fee or anything else from anybody, and this has been a law, it doesn't matter taxes. We're just talking about collecting money for somebody in their name and paying something for it. You have to be able to provide a slip to me because I paid on that. That's a fee. They have to be able to supply you with a full-fledged invoice for what they're billing. You have no other way to get the information. That has no bearing on taxes, so to speak. Maybe there's no law that says they have to do tax specific, but the law already says that maybe it's the Consumer Protection Act. I'm not sure which, but I've talked to legal professionals who told me that they have to supply me with a statement on where those charges are coming from because somebody collected money from me to process that sales tax. They have to be able to provide me with a billing statement of what those fees and charges were and basics on it. They have to do that. That is a law from what I understand. And when you call eBay, they're telling you they're not going to have certain types of information till after tax is filed or has to be filed. So that means they're months behind if that information is correct. And that information came from multiple people. If you go to eBay's own message board right now, there's comments galore on how to get tax information. And again, I haven't personally called and asked about that specifics. I did call about the Sales Manager Plus. But the other ones, there's like dozens of people saying that they've already talked to them. eBay says they won't have it, won't have it, won't have it, won't have it. So I don't know. I got enough information for everything I need through, constantly downloading the reports and stuff. And everything's in PayPal too, because PayPal it all funneled through there. Now, if you've got managed payments, you don't have to worry about all that other junk because it's totally processed differently than just the PayPal. I almost wonder if they did that just to force you to try and log and set up for managed payments just to get that extra information. I don't know. You never know. Denim Labels, good evening, good evening. The Stun Law 1, hang on, my feed is now frozen. Okay, is it going to move? Is it going to move? There we go. Now I'm way off. So hang on a second. Let me pop back up here. Yeah, my feed just bounced like a whole bunch. Let's get to some questions, though. We'll just stick to the questions as much as we can. Yeah, good evening, the Stun Law 1. Summers 422, how are you doing? Video doesn't seem to be working on YouTube. I can't tell you on there. I can see it playing on my end on my YouTube page. I've got several pages opened up, and I got another screen over here too that you can't see. I use multiple screens. I couldn't live without it. So for people who use their phone, I can't do that. I'm not a big phone fan. I'm not a fan of cell phones. In all honesty, I don't pick them up while I'm driving. I don't text and drive. I don't even look at my phone. It stays in my pocket. I don't mess with phones while I'm in the car. Just personal. I stop at the yellow lights. I don't run through them either. So I'm in no hurry these days. 20 years ago or 15 years ago, yeah, that would have been me, but not anymore. I don't care. I never have to be anywhere specific usually. It's wonderful to have that feeling, but YouTube PC. I've got it running here. Maybe if you reload the page, Mogo, that might help too. Tiffany Sue, how are you doing? Hey, Nancy, how's Nancy doing? Got Eddie in the house as well. Eddie's going well. Let's see here. Mark, how are you doing? Yeah, I sometimes just reload and it works fine after that. It just depends. Chrome sometimes does that, yes. And that's Mark saying that as well. Hustle and grind. February 1st will be my first full year on eBay. 616 sales and just hit the 200 feedback score as we speak. Been a wild, fun year. Nice side hustle. Very good. Congratulations. It's always a good sign when you finish your first year, I'll tell you that. It's a side business for you from your comment there. So, more power to you. I did eBay for a side hustle for 10 plus years. Before that, we did Yahoo auctions. Before that, I used to set up at flea markets, and I had antique booths all over the place, because there was no other option. So I'd buy stuff dirt cheap, garage sales. And before eBay was around, I loved the antiques and stuff. And my grandmother was a huge antique collector. My uncle was an antique dealer. When my grandmother passed away, I got to go through the estate and price-wise, and I spent a whole summer with him going over prices and stuff in his shop. So, and I was young. I was 9 or 10, and I collected cards and everything else since I was like 7, so I love everything vintage. We could almost open a museum with some of the stuff we have, I would say. Paper museum for sure. We've got, I don't want to misrepresent this, but well over 500,000 items, well over, and record-wise, a couple 100,000, like 300 and maybe 50,000 discs in our inventory. Such a small amount of them are listed as well, too, because I got nothing into them, so I talk about that. If you don't have the money to store stuff like that or hang on to it, Longtail isn't for you. No problem with not being a Longtail person, so no offense or no disrespect meant towards anybody on that. You get to a certain point and you'll be able to do that. That's the gist. It's going to take some time. No business just opens their door and all of a sudden they can expand and do this and do that. It doesn't work that way. Big businesses, it took McDonald's a little while to advance from one single store and the whole works. We watched that movie the other day too. I think it's got Michael or what's his name? Shoot, Beetlejuice. I can't think of the guy's name. Anyway, I'm sure you know who I'm talking about. Michael Keaton. It's got him in it. It was a real good movie. Croc, maybe it's called. Good movie. Just watch that. Let's see. J Tice 02. Let's see what you got to say. I'm a small seller, just getting serious. When do I need to worry about tax reporting? There's no doubt I've spent more than I've made at this point, but if I keep this trajectory, I'm worried. You start the very first year, you want to do it as a business. So even if you lose money, you can report a loss, even if you invest money into it for 5 years legally. At least that's how it used to be. I have an account that does that, but when I did everything myself, it was 5 years you could report a loss. I would report it as a loss to get yourself on the books, if that's what you want to do as a business, and then work from there. You got to invest in products. You got to invest in PC or some way to list it, cameras and all that kind of stuff. So there's going to be a startup cost, and that's a deduction in the whole works. We had startup costs, and that's part of your business. You're allowed to invest in a startup cost. That's why you will technically in some businesses have a loss. Like Twitter and stuff was a loss. They didn't make a dime for years and years and years and years and years and years and years. I mean, a lot of companies are like that. I would just report it as a loss and be done with it. That's what I would do. Depending on your income level, again, I'm not a tax professional, so don't just talk to a tax professional. But in my opinion, I know some folks, depending on your income level, if you've at least brought something into the table, you may get like a bump back for what's it called? Earned income credit or something like that, I think it's called. But you can look into that too. So, and there's also, if you started a business and there's some record, the Small Business Administration in most towns have options where they could even give you like a grant. They have grants for female business owners. They've got grants for, ethnic groups and all kinds of things like that. So it just depends. And there's nothing wrong with going and seeking help. Big business does that every single day. That's why, companies like Amazon or something don't pay a dime in taxes. that money and the grants and all that, that's just free money to some extent. We've applied and we've gotten grants before, so on various things. So it just depends. There's nothing wrong with that. I've been trying, haven't got one of these, but trying to get an art grant, because you can get a grant if it's something that's usable and it's in the public field. So anyway, there's always opportunities, and those grants help you invest more time and money into your business and can help you out. So just FYI, there's a lot of opportunities. Don't try to go and coast underneath, because every dime that's made is trackable. There's all paperwork. There's all digital proof that you were selling stuff. So I would never ever recommend not reporting it. And if you've got a loss, you got nothing to lose. You're not going to have to pay if you didn't make any money. You have to have a profit to pay, And if you're making like so little doing it, and that's your only thing, you're not going to have to pay a dime, Let's see here. Mark, I have only sold about 30 items and have 24 feedbacks so far on eBay. Well, it's still, you got to start somewhere. I started off with 0 just like everybody else. That first item you list, you're either nervous or you're excited, Thomas J., how are you doing? I'm sure you've probably answered a million times before, but I'm a newbie. Where do you find the best stuff besides estate sales? Ever work with liquidation companies, or where else do you find stuff? All the above. I got pickers. I got people that call me when they find stuff, and I pay more than other people, and they always come back to me because of that. I'm always there, never late, always a few minutes early, never, ever, ever, and I always buy at least something, so I'm not wasting their time. Even if I don't really want something, I always buy something. It's a courtesy. I'm always nice, I'm always polite. I usually don't argue with their prices. Sometimes we might go back and forth. He'll say, how much is it worth to you? That's a question I'm asked all the time. And if I throw a price out there and they're not happy, then we start the going back and forth on prices. Nothing wrong with that. You got to know the people you deal with, and I know the guys I deal with, gals. I do deal with two ladies, gals, whatever's proper, I guess, at this day and age. No offense to anybody, of course. I'm not that type of person, but you got to know the people you deal with. That's my best source. Second best source would be local live auctions where you can see the items. The third best place was estate sales, I would say. If you don't have pickers, obviously it's estate sales and local live auctions. Hand in hand. Those two are your best sources for what I sell. We do wholesale. We do RA and all that stuff too. So you just get to see the one aspect of it. I don't share Amazon, just like most people don't share Amazon. Too easy to sink you. Just like those 5 people leaving thumbs down, there's people like that would go to your Amazon account and either buy something or try to ding you through feedback or false claims or anything else like that. And people constantly, like, if somebody else is selling something like that they're selling, they might file a false claim stating it's their product, all kinds of stuff like that. I've seen so many screw things. If you look in Seller Central, you can see some of the posts from other folks. There's a like a Reddit style section on it's like the chat boards on eBay basically, but it's on Seller Central. It's actually on your what page is it called? It's on your main homepage for Seller Central when you're in there. I don't know. I just hit the seller button and it's right there. I don't know what that page is technically called. Maybe it's my landing pad for Seller Central, I guess. But I read those sometimes too. Sometimes there's a lot of bad stuff going on. People sunk for this and somebody dinged you. So it's just not safe to share your Amazon. I don't share Etsy either. In Patreon, you've seen some of the insides of my Amazon account, so that I'm ungated in like collectibles and historical, and I can do entertainment. I can sell new CDs, new DVDs on there. You've seen that, so that's I had somebody tell me you're not doing that and stuff like that once before, but I never answered them. I just let it go because those who have seen it know it. No, I'm straight up on my stuff. Let's see here, where are we at? But that's it, Thomas. Those are the main ones. Every town has some local live auctions, and most all of those, you're going to have to hunt and peck, though. But most all towns have some that are good. There's obviously some that I go to that I always score out, and I mean score out, and there's others that I don't do so well. Hang on, my feed just disappeared again. There it is. Just a second. Let's see here. Summer 422. How do you know what's valuable? I've been watching you for a while now. I tried to look for things, but I can't even find them online to see their worth. Do I need to get books? Books aren't going to give you a price for the most part. It doesn't matter what a price guide says for most items. It matters what the price is on the sites you're going to sell it on. If the price guide says a specific baseball card's worth $1,000, but on all the sites you have access and are selling on, they only sell for $200, the price of that item is not worth $1,000 in my book. It's only worth $200. Price guides are usually written by, I know somebody will probably send me a nasty message on this, but price guides in the past, I know for sure, were written by people who are big-time collectors, and a lot of the price guides back in, say, the 70s and 80s, when there wasn't an internet, when you couldn't look it up, were to the benefit of the people writing the book. You know, people would contact them with high-dollar items for sale and all kinds of stuff like that. That's my general impression on a lot of the price guides. I don't know so much these days, but again, the price guide value means nothing if the sites that you're going to be selling on, it doesn't sell for that. It's a fictitious number. Maybe if you're going to send every single item to a higher end auction, Heritage or Sotheby's or something like that, the prices may mean something different. But, you know, a price guide may list like Action Comics #1 for $90,000, but in a certain condition at a live auction, it might go for, you know, $2 million. So, you know, price guides can go both ways. I just don't trust them. Not saying don't trust them, but they're not useful in my opinion anymore. The internet, eBay, comp sales, Terapeak, you know, all the other Keep a Camel, and all that other stuff that you can use, just as an example, offers better information than any of the price guides in my book. For items that are vintage, I've said this before, you have to compare likes. Like, you're not going to, like, if you get some postcard from some small town in, say, West Virginia, chances of you finding another one that matches that exact card is going to be very, very slim. Wheeling, West Virginia is well sought after. We always sell those for good money, but I've never ran into the same card more than once, ever. And most of the high dollar cards that I've sold, and we've sold postcards, you know, in the $1,000 range a piece, most of those cards, I don't think I've ever ran into a second one of those. And price-wise, you compare them to other ones. So let's say I got a Wheeling, West Virginia postcard, and I don't know what price it is. It's from 1910, and it shows a warehouse, specific warehouse. And you're going to be looking up a name, that specific name, thinking, I'm going to find that warehouse. You can't do that with stuff like that. I would only type in warehouse in Wheeling and compare it to other warehouses in that same town. Now, if I couldn't find a warehouse, if it's in the downtown section of that warehouse, I'm going to compare prices from downtown Wheeling, just random images to see if that gives me a comparable price. What you usually find, and this is for any category, I don't care what it is, toys or whatever else, what you're usually going to find is like styled cards or toys or books or whatever from that area or a specific place are usually in a certain ballpark price. And that's where I judge it on. That's why I always price higher too. So if for some reason my thoughts are a little off, I've still priced it above that depending on the item. And we're talking rare items, something just you're not going to find of. Now, if there's something up on eBay and there's 50 of them up there, you know, you got to kind of follow suit when there's 50 of them. If there's 3 or 4 and they're all buy it nows for $10, I'm going to put way more than that on it, because that's not good information. Usually what happens, and I've said this before, I'll say it again, one person puts this item up and there's no comps. It doesn't matter what the item is. We'll just say a postcard with a tire on it. It doesn't matter at all. It's immaterial what the item is. But they'll put up the item. They got the only one they think. They put it up for $10. It sells for $10. Next person comes up and sees comps and they're looking at the comps. Oh, it goes for $10. That's about what they put on it. So again, it sells for $10. Third person does the same thing. I know this sounds like, that's probably not what it is, but man, I'm telling you, it's got to be, because I don't know. I could sit there all day long, and I've got a video, I think, on Patreon and on YouTube where I just show you what I sold stuff for. I show you the comps before I listed mine and after, and I'm way over every single other person out there on those items, because if you got to analyze the data. If everybody's got it up for a bin at $10, I'm going to put it at 30, 40 even. It depends on the item, and it depends on the quantity of those up for that price. When you get up to the 50 range, or even anything over, say, 10 or 15, the price is more standardized. But if there's 3, 4 of them up there and they're all like bins and you can check the dates on when they're up, you can kind of conjecture that those people were following after what the other people did. Little less as much back in the day before Terapeak, you could kind of judge because you only can look back 90 days on eBay and you can really tell what they're pulling from. But that's the gist on that. So anyway, that's what I do. Yeah, most people don't leave feedback these days. I don't leave it on most things if I'm buying like supplies and stuff. I never leave it on the boxes or anything like that for eBay, you know. Well, I'll take that. Yeah, no, I don't leave it. I don't. I don't do that. Let's see here. Miami, I've been down to Miami. Lived in Florida for 10 years. Worked at Disney. We used to go down to Key West occasionally. I never went down to Fantasy Festival or any of that kind of stuff, but I liked it down there. Something nice about looking over the ocean on the beach, margarita, Tom Collins, something in your hand. It's the sun's going down, your wife's sitting there, and you're just relaxing. It's something nice about that. The wind's blowing, you can see the palm fronds flapping around. I got fond memories of living in Florida. Yeah, let's pop down here. Dan Sweeps, how are you doing? Gail, welcome. Ludowici, Georgia. Do not know that. We usually stopped when we traveled I-75 from Florida up. We'd stay in Valdosta. I've worked in Glen Burn, and we have friends that we will go to in Atlanta occasionally too. Those are the areas in Georgia. I was in Glen Burn for maybe 2 months. I think 8 weeks total. Let's see here. Thank you, Gail, as well. Howdy doody, Michael. Heather Himes, this is such a cute toddler story. We were just playing outside in the dirt, and he refused to keep his shoes on. I just love this business. I get to be home with him and cherish the memories. That is, I wished there were more than anything else that I could go back and have done this full time back in the day, because I missed all that. I missed first words and first steps and all that stuff. I worked a lot, and I did eBay all on the side through the entire time. And I worked 60 plus hours a week, usually 70 in the food industry. And then I did eBay as well on any time I had, just so my wife could be home with our kids. Our kids never had to do daycare. I didn't get to see him much, but it was the way it was. And I lived in Virginia, and we didn't know anybody. We didn't trust any of the places up there when we first got there either. So 9/11 happened, the sniper shootings happened, and it just worked out. And then we just continued that path. I mean, nothing wrong with daycare, so no criticism at all. Somebody we graduated with actually is one of the head people at one of the local daycare. So I fully know there's a lot of caring people in daycare. So just the way it is, just the way I did it with us. I grew up that the wife shouldn't work. That's how my parents were. My mom did do. She's a nurse, or was a nurse. She did nursing in a nursing home. She did a couple nights a week or something like that when I was younger, so she could be there with us. And she did them on days where we didn't have school, so she'd work only the weekend nights. So you could do what you got to do. My dad worked a lot to make sure that she didn't have to do anything while we were there, so she could always get us to school and everything else. That's what I've done. No criticism for those who can't do that. I'm not trying to say anything bad about anybody like that. You live with what you got, and you do with what you can. I'm not trying to be some philosopher here, but that's just the way I take it. Yeah, I love the toddler stories too. Yeah, I finally have very fond memories. My stuff sells out quick. Here's Duncan. Quicker than I can get it in. My problem is I've got so much stuff that I could just not buy stuff for years, and we've been just going back and forth thinking about that. When you have pickers, there's a drawback to it. There's a big drawback to it, that you got to keep buying something from them to keep them coming back to you instead of going somewhere else. So it's a good deal and something. I still buy stuff when I don't need it. And I've shown some pictures here and there of how full our backstock is. Again, the stuff I got's vintage. The price isn't going to fall off the earth. This stuff's been worth money for forever, and it's all stuff that we've been selling for decades. So, I don't care if it sits here. Records, they go up and down in prices. So, I got nothing into them basically. So who cares? I guess that's my thinking on it. All we're taking up is space, and it's paid for space. A big, huge work area that's just loaded with records. It's all already on property that's paid for, and the rest of it's here. It's paid for as well too. So anyway, let's hop down. And Fio Oxa, I'm new eBay seller and I have no ideas what I need to use to track sales tax. Do I need to use software or something else? Please tell me. You can pull all that sales tax information from PayPal. If you download your PayPal report monthly, you can actually import it as a CSV file, which I believe you can get it in Google Docs has an option to use that too. But I do Excel, and everything's imported from PayPal, and then you can sort by columns. You can just copy out the tax section, and I just paste it in another section. I'll auto sum the totals, and then I have a equal sum link from my main P&L page, and those totals are just automatically pulled to a page, and that's where I go from there. Now, I set all that stuff up before eBay started to do it like that, because obviously I pay state sales tax, and I have to report a number to our accountant, and then they file it every 6 months on state sales tax. So, we've got accountants. That's one thing I would recommend everybody. Don't just wheel it and hope you know what you're doing. If you haven't done it, I've done accounting for big business, and I've handled P&Ls and all that stuff, and I would still rather just pay somebody. No headaches for me. Again, I talked about, the freedom that this brings you, and I mentally wise, I feel like I'm back in high school without that worry over my head anymore, and it's a hard feeling to get back into, because it's been years of my life, 30 years, that I haven't had that feeling like that. It's weird, I guess you could say, and I didn't even realize that's what I was, that feeling, being able to just head out on the highway. I guess it feels like when I moved from one job, when we moved out of Virginia after 9/11 and all that stuff, and it was just an awful experience with all that. Free Falling came on, and all I can ever think about is Jerry Maguire when Tom Cruise is pulling away in the moving van, and I think that's the scene where he's singing that. Maybe it's when he pulled out of his office and he left. He's singing it in there, and that was the feeling I got. These days it's not like working for somebody at all. I've totally, I think, finally shed all that junk and what was on my shoulders from working for somebody else for 30 plus years of my life. Well, not 30 years. What would that be? Yeah, close to 30 years, I guess. And it's taken all these years to get that feeling off my back. I used to wake up even years into doing this, 3-4 years ago, after doing this full time 7 years or so, still worry that I'm late for work in the middle of the night. Oh, did the alarm go off? Did I miss the alarm or something? That's weird. It's just weird to get rid of that. But anyway, let's hop down here. Marie, how are you doing? Good evening to you. 2-Bit Scotty, good evening to you. Thank you very kindly as well. Some people hate me because of what I give out, honestly. I get hate mail. Telling people, I get more these days telling me I should be charging for this and don't be giving this out for free. You're hurting my channel and stuff like that. It's an open world. If I'm sure some of the people are leaving thumbs down and stuff are people from other channels, because I know for sure that there's a couple that do it. Somebody who talks to a couple other channels told me. I have friends who are on other channels, and it's a small world, and some of the other channels don't realize when you badmouth other channels and go about and do sneaky stuff and try to sabotage other people, it gets back to them, and I don't really care. If somebody wants to try and do something for me speaking my mind in a free society, more power to them, I guess, but I don't care what anybody else says, really. I know there's a video or two out there dogging on me, that's their own accord. I don't do those videos. In fact, I've tried not to do too many dogging on anything. I want to have more positive aspect. Another reason why I didn't do another video on eBay yet, and I don't really care what eBay says about it, because there's nothing they can do. You're allowed to voice your opinion again, but I don't want to be projecting a negative response. A lot of people are just starting into this. There's a lot of negatives to this, but it's so minuscule compared to what I dealt with in the real world. It's a joke, and I'm not trying to make light of situations and stuff, but, something happens. I'll give you a mistake that happened here. Somebody switched two labels. The first name on two boxes was the exact same name, and they were both the same type of material. They're both records. They got switched and they got sent to the wrong people. Happens. First time, and I don't even know when it's ever happened before. First time. So, I did the sorry as can be, sorry as can be. Before I even did that, I refunded them for the postage. One of them I caught before it arrived, and I told him to send it back. Mark returned to sender on it. The other one opened it. I immediately refunded secondary postage and the whole works and stuff like that. Stuff's going to happen. There's no way around it. And that was a simple mistake that should have been avoided. But I think the first name on one of them was Michael. I won't give out the last name, but it started with a W, and I think the second one was Michael M. something. And it was close. I understand why it happened. It was the only two like that. It was such similar names. But everybody here is supposed to write the lot numbers on it so you can tell, and it got left off for some reason. So anyway, it happened. No bad feedback. Everybody left. Everybody was fine. In fact, I've got good feedback out of it. So you can always turn stuff around. Not always, but a majority of the time, if you handle it correctly. I never fly off the handle. If something happens to me, it's not worth your time, it's not worth your aggravation, and it's not going to get you anywhere. I like yelling at somebody on the phone. I don't do that. And I don't record phone conversations to post them up here either. If somebody else wants to do that, that's fine, but there's laws against some of that too. I know in some states, as long as one party's aware of your recording, it's okay, but I just don't do that. I would, unless they say it's okay and all that kind of stuff. I know that's off topic, but anyway, let's hop back down here. Have I visited Connecticut? Yes, I have. We worked in Boston and we drove all the way through New England. I flew into Concord once. We were all over there. We worked in Boston. My oldest now was, I want to say it was about 1, and we stayed in, we actually spent 2 nights in the House of Seven Gables, and then we stayed in Saugus, and then we drove, we flew in early just to go to Brimfields, and then we drove all through New England. It was a really nice experience. We went whale watching off Gloucester, got pictures standing in front of the big Gorton statue there on the circle and right there on the coast. Some real nice experiences. We went all over in that whole area. Went through I think every state in New England except we didn't do Vermont. I don't think it's one of the ones I don't think we did. Let's see here. Up in Newland Park Coast Guard Academy located in New London across Thames River and yeah, I know there's a couple. My sister-in-law was stationed at the Naval Yard for a little while in Virginia Beach, I think it was. I've seen some of them, the building, and we got to get in there occasionally and do some cool things. Let's see here. Mark, does anyone out there sell postcards out there? I have a few listed on Hip Postcard. Can't figure out why my number of views. Hang on. I do Hip Postcards. And I actually show you in Patreon how to set it all up, too. If you listen to Hip Postcard, can't figure out why my number of views on my cards are so pitiful. Can't sell any there. I do much better on eBay. You are going to do much better on eBay. Hopefully you're doing the auto sync between the two, Mark. I would imagine you are if you're on Hip. Postcards on Hip are really slow, but I sell enough to make a pretty good chunk of change. So it's $5. If I sell $100 a month, I'm fine on there because it's just extra money. And then the fees are less than eBay as well, too. You can list postcards on like 4 different sites. And depending on, what you're using to do that, Shopify will do that. My Shopify videos are coming too. Just FYI, I forgot. They're shot. Most of them are shot. So anyway, Shopify will be coming down the line too. As I said, I got hours of film that I shot that we just haven't done. Haven't had a chance to edit, I guess I should say. Whenever I get a chance to shoot, I shoot it just because I can't go back and shoot it, but I can edit it anytime, of course. Yeah, you're not going to have huge sales on Hip. It's just too small and still too new to some extent. I average, I don't know, 3, 4 a week, maybe 5 a week on Hip. I don't know what everybody else averages on there, but, they're usually, I think the most I've ever sold a postcard on Hip was $24.50, I think. eBay, different story. $1,000 I think is my most on eBay for a postcard. Hang on, my feed's gone. We're just going to go for a few more minutes here. Dr. Full, okay. Who has knowledge on Laserdiscs? I got a bunch of good ones, apparently, but also a bunch of not-so-good ones. eBay would be your best bet for sure. I've sold some on Amazon too. You can list, well, you'd have to have the collectibles on gating, but they sell in entertainment collectibles as well. The quality, there's stuff that's in versions of them that aren't in other versions. We've got like 3 different versions of Star Wars. It depends on when they were released and all that. So people are fanatics. I know we did great on the Star Trek ones because there's something in the Star Trek Laserdisc that's not in, I guess, the motion picture, that's not in the VHS tape of that. And the DVD apparently was burned or ripped from like the master from the VHS, I think, if I'm not mistaken, so that the Laserdisc is the only copy version of that aspect of it. If that makes any sense. I just go to Terapeak and look them all up. Most laser discs were produced into the tens and tens of thousands, so most of those are priceable. We do best on the classic movies, classic sci-fi like Star Wars and stuff like that, and then the concert ones go very well. We sold a Who not too long ago for some good money. The machines I do very well on if I sell those too, but Amazon's a pretty good platform for those. Jeffrey D, good evening to you as well. Horizon City News Service, how are you doing? From Texas. Yeah, I worked in Dallas for not too long. Mogo, you don't put up too many videos. I watch them all. Well, I've had that comment recently. I was surprised. Yeah, a lot of people do sell postcards. If you do stamps like me, most people will mess with postcards because I do run into them at other places too. Sold a China postcard, 1920 for $100. My top China postcard was around $875, and it was a section of Kowloon that doesn't exist anymore. If you have any knowledge on China, Kowloon's an area that's like Hong Kong area, I guess you would say. I went into that in another video. I'm not going to go back into the why and what's on that again, but there's a reason why certain areas of China are really hard to get and they're really valuable. I've got some. Maybe I'll show them in a Patreon video too. I got some really nice Hong Kong photos here. I think I may have shown them before, but I save them. I keep most of the newer ones I get these days. Not newer photos, but ones I just get in. Hey, Kathy, how are you doing? Need eat negatives, Kathy. Yeah. Just hit me back up on those too if you need any help. Just let me know. You know where to send that email back to. I've been to Stone Mountain before. Alton, how are you doing? Yeah, Murray's telling you the same thing. Postcards on eBay is the better choice. But for $5 on Hip, I sell, I'm making 90 plus bucks after fees and everything. So, it's extra money. You multiply 90 times 12, it's a good extra chunk of change. And they would be ones that possibly may not have ever sold on eBay. It brings the money in and it lowers your overall expenses and it raises your profit at the end. So, you can't go wrong. Doing online selling doesn't mean you just sell on one platform. In my book, we're on 9. I make money on 9 platforms. 9. I don't make a fortune on every one. eBay and Amazon are still the top, and then you got Etsy and Discogs and stuff like that. But they all add up. This is a piecemeal deal thing here. $100 here, $100 there, 1,000 here, 5,000 there, whatever. It all adds up to the end. These days, I don't so much at all worry about just what I'm selling on eBay or just what I'm selling on Amazon. Everything goes together on a P&L sheet. So the only thing I look at now is that bottom end number. As long as that number's going up, which it is, it's going up a little slower than I would hope. Obviously, there's the virus going around and some other things. The stock market tumbled a little bit. Again, that doesn't affect us because most people don't have a fortune invested in millions in stock. That only helps the top 5% or whatever it may be, whatever that number may be. But this week you're probably a little slower, I would gather. We're gonna put some sales on this weekend, and my slow sales again slow. I'm still up. I'm just not up as much as I want to be. So again, list every day. It'll increase your sales. Run some sales if you need to, but I still haven't touched a single promoted listing. I've got 823 offers to watchers I can send out. I haven't touched one since the last time I told you I did them. I haven't even done those, and I still haven't had the issues with the sales until the last week or so when the virus started going all over the news and the cases started showing up here. So, it's a worry to some people, and it could be a worry to everybody, but right now I'm just going to business usual, and I'm going to sell some stuff with discounts and offers to watchers. So whenever I'm slow or the sales are dipping just a hair, that's what I do. Most businesses, including myself, project at least a 3% over year over last. I'm more like, I think right now like 17% up from last year overall. This isn't just eBay. This is everything. This is my whole business put together. It's up like 17%. I project individual sites, and then from those individual sites, I actually have a main projection for everything together. If you project separately for each individual site, then you can see if where you're dragging down. So if your bottom line is going down, I drop down from 17%, now I'm dropped down to like say 14 or 12% the next week. I can easily look where am I down? Which platform is down? If they're all down, it may be some global or whole website issue, or web platform issues. So that's something you can look at. It really helps doing that kind of stuff. But again, the bottom line is what matters. I don't care what platform the money comes in for. And it doesn't bother me that I only do $90 or $95 or whatever I'm doing on one site, because it adds up. $1,200 a year on 3 different sites is $3,600 a year. It all adds up. So you build on income. You get a little bit here, you add another thing. Just like if you're just starting off, you're only doing one item or just clothing or just books or something. Add 1 item, add 2 items, add 3 items, add 4 items. You'll have more items to pick, and you'll have more items to sell, and more opportunities to make a profit. You got to expand to some extent. Just don't over purchase. Watch how much you spend. Make sure you know how much money you're going to be able to get back and how quickly you can get it back if you need to get it back quickly. It goes right back to the business model. You got to have money to play Longtail. Quick flip is most people's business. When they can get to a point where you can do Longtail, most people start to flip Longtail what they can and then flip everything else quick. That's the game. Everything I sell isn't Longtail. I wouldn't expect it to be, but I assume everything that I buy, I'm going to have to hold on to for a while. That's my assumption. It's not the case, obviously, but that's what I'm assuming. Can I afford to buy it and not get the money back right away? If the answer is yes, I buy it and I don't worry about it. But I don't really even have to worry these days. First time in my life. I'm not trying to brag again, but all those years working for somebody, even as a regional, I have so much more to show from just a short time doing this. So anyway, let me pop down and we'll get one more question here, because it is getting kind of late. Yeah, we'll get one more question in here. I'm trying to get into selling postcards since I can find them dirt cheap. Pricing them can be tricky. If you charge too much, they just sit and don't sell. It depends on the postcards you're selling, of course. If you know your postcards, it'll help. If you know how to research them, it'll help. If I buy like big bulk lots of postcards, 10,000 postcards at an auction, probably 9,500 or more of those will probably just get dumped off in 1,000 card lots. Maybe that's a little off, but I've had lots just like that. Where I only take like 500 good cards and the rest just sell the way they are. And usually when I do that, I come out ahead. Way ahead. So anyway, hopefully that answers that a little bit. Let's see here. If my feed doesn't bounce. Star Trek Discovery. Thanks, Wubba Lubba. Yeah, I haven't seen a single episode of that. Let's see here. Please, somebody here, can you let me know what I need to track? So we already got that one. You can watch the first episode of Star Trek Picard on YouTube. I haven't been. I looked on YouTube. I didn't see it. Yeah, I heard about the Picard because of the Romulans planet and the supernova. Yeah, I did read that. I'm just cheap, I guess. Carolina Pix thought he liked it too. But he is looking old. Well, he's 79, I think. I think that's his age. Yeah, I'm probably going to watch it. I'll have to see if it is on. I might watch that tonight if I can find it. Hey, Karen, how are you doing, Karen? And I got Rob right below it. I wonder how long it took from Ramen to not have to worry. Yeah, 3 years at least. Yeah, let me pop down. Playing a flute. Do you follow Popeye's postcards? Yeah, Popeye's got some postcards too. Um, Popeye seems like a decent guy. The only thing I disagree with him on is he sends out overseas postcards with a stamped envelope, and you got to declare on an export tax. Not trying to call him out, I shouldn't have said that, but he's a nice guy. He knows what he's talking about in postcards. He sells some niches that I just don't like messing with in postcards, but you know, I usually only run on certain types, and old ones is what I mess with. But Popeye's a good guy. Yeah, I go back to eBay's first year. I'm reading Dr. Full. Sleepy Dolan, I believe, is a country singer from the 30s or 40s, but I could be wrong on that. Uncle George Regan sounds the same way, and so does Ted Brown. I would go to like, look those up on like PopSec on a music site and see if they're performers, would be my guess. Yeah, postcards are a huge thing for us. I've sold postcards for $1,000 a piece. Um, Geez, I show postcards on my Instagram page at least once a week, some decent ones. Average price for a postcard I sell is like $26, $27, I would say. That's average because we sell a bunch for 50 to $150 all the time. A day doesn't go by that I don't sell postcards. Every single day of the week, day in and day out, every single day I sell postcards. So postcards is my thing too. I love paper. Um, I'm probably sitting on, I don't know, maybe 100,000 postcards. There's a bin. I don't know. It's a lot. It's a lot of postcards. I'm going to be selling 3 lots of 1,000 each in the next week. We've already got photos taken too. We're going to blow some out. They'll be on eBay, but we're going to cut it off there. I do appreciate everybody coming on. Again, videos are ready for tomorrow. Patreon, you will, I think, I'm not sure which one I'll put up first, but if I get a chance to do Carlene's store review in the morning, that may be up tomorrow. Otherwise, you'll probably see an idea video coming out. And it's not necessarily eBay related to, but I think everybody will find this one interesting. This is something that someone created their own thing, and now everybody's copying them. These guys made a lot of money on it, so I'm just going to call out that tomorrow maybe. I don't know. We'll see. But I appreciate everybody coming on. Thanks very kindly for all the support and comments and questions. I do have a Patreon page. It is a page. There's 130 videos. I just put them up today. I'm on Instagram. All these are under the Auction Professor Instagram. I've got 2 Facebook pages. One's a group and one's our business page. And then I'm on Twitter too. Everything's pretty much under the Auction Professor. I have links down below too. I do have a page on Amazon for the Auction Professor as well that has every single item that I use. There'll be items that you see in my videos because it's the exact same thing I use. I don't recommend anything I haven't used or don't use. I don't do that for money. I only give you the items that I personally use. But I do appreciate everybody coming on. Thank you and have a good night. And off we go.